Thank you so much for attending my presentation on the devastating power of Hard Trick Room, and first you need to understand what the archetype is. There are many Pokemon who have obscene attacking power that is balanced by a slow speed stat. Generally speaking, this actually works pretty well. Making these otherwise disgusting Pokemon dependent on either an item or speed control makes it much more difficult to get them going. However, it's of course not impossible. By using Trick Room, which reverses the speed order completely, it's like this issue never existed in the first place. All of your broken attackers are free to run wild for 5 turns. Hard Trick Room involves taking this idea to its logical conclusion. They aren't playing long, positioning-based battles that can drag on to the timer, they want your ass dead. Now. This is a powerful team style, yet of course has issues. Speccing into this idea often means foregoing more balanced threats who are strong outside of Trick Room, which makes your game plan extremely telegraphed. Get up Trick Room or lose. But don't worry, these teams have many tricks to get their game plan rolling. First, we'll talk about the Trick Room setters. These Pokemon, despite any other secondary characteristics, are meant to make sure that Trick Room is used, even at the expense of their health. Farigiraf is the #1 choice that many hard Trick Room teams decide to use due to many factors. Its ability Armor Tail is extremely powerful, shutting down all priority moves used against both it and its partner. This is vital against many common methods of stopping Trick Room, such as Fake Out or Prankster Taunt. With Farigiraf on the field, it's much harder to actually stop. This is helped further by its immense bulk, which can let it survive a super effective Black Glasses boosted King Gambit Kowtow Cleave. That's completely absurd. Combine this with a bunch of items to run, and the giraffe can feel unkillable. Colbur Berry has the damage from a Dark-type move, Mental Herb stops any non-priority taunt, and Focus Sash ensures it survives at least one attack, which can be crucial. Mimikyu is less common, but still gets play, mostly due to its Disguise ability, which for it acts a bit like a Focus Sash. This lets it tank one move, taking 12% of its health instead of what it was supposed to. This alone, combined with its strong defensive typing, makes it hard to hit for enough damage before it sets up Trick Room. Sinistcha is also useful, being more of a supportive threat that can set Trick Room if need be. It's Fake Out immune, like Mimikyu, while again being hard to chunk for damage. However, it's a bit less consistent and is rarely run by itself, instead being a secondary option. Your attackers are more flexible. The goal is to quickly pick up knockouts, which lets you get pretty creative in the builder. Torkoal is seen very often and is a staple of hard Trick Room builds. It's pretty simple. It sets the sun for itself and then clicks Supercharged Eruptions, boosted by the Charcoal held item. It just does so much spread damage, which is extremely difficult to handle. Everything just melts. King Gambit is another dangerous attacker, this one clicking enormous single-target Kowtow Cleaves that hit nearly everything that resists Eruption for a bunch of damage. Get these two on the field at the same time under Trick Room and there won't be much your opponent can do. King Gambit also importantly helps if your Trick Room runs out before you can finish the other team off. With its priority Sucker Punch, which isn't even that much weaker than Kowtow Cleave, it can play cleanup when necessary. Mega Blastoise is often the mega of choice on these teams as it gets to click Water Spout or rather Water-type Eruption, and while it does get its damage slashed by Torkoal's Sun, it's still able to dish out huge damage using Aura Sphere and Dark Pulse, both boosted by 1.5 times via its Mega Launcher ability. These are the most common Trick Room sweepers, but there are many more. Mega Drampa is yet another special spread attacker, this one getting a special attack boost when it goes below half HP. Conkeldurr has a ton of valuable coverage, including the ever-valuable Thunder Punch, and is another priority user with Mach Punch. Plus, if you really need it, Conk can run Wide Guard, which is amazing support. Sylveon is, and stop me if you've heard this one before, a spread special attacker, but fills a useful niche as something that consistently handles Dragon types, a group that hard Trick Room can struggle with. It of course loves to click Pixelate boosted Hyper Voices, but can also unleash an ultra powerful Hyper Beam to level anything that isn't a resist if it needs to. Mega Crabominable is also strong against Dragon types, ripping Iron Fist boosted Ice Hammers and stab close combats which each deal immense damage. This isn't close to everything, but hopefully it gets the point across that there are a lot of these fucks out there to ruin your day. And now for the fun part. What about this format makes hard Trick Room so difficult to deal with? Well, for starters, players who opt to grind the Pokemon Champions ladder have to deal with the archetype in closed team sheets best of one. This high variance rule set can often benefit these teams as you lack critical knowledge you need to effectively win. A great example is with Farigiraf's item. It has 3 viable choices, all of which require different counterplay from most teams. Unless you've got some really specific stuff, there isn't a one-size-fits-all counter. Closed team sheets makes this a glorified guess, which can result in you losing the game on the first turn because you were wrong on one 50-50, or in this case 33-33-33. This also manifests itself in other ways. The all-or-nothing nature of Hard Trick Room makes one-off tech choices very powerful. For example, Ally Switch, a move that swaps the position of the user and its partner on the battlefield, is normally bad in open team sheets, but when you can't see it coming consistently, it's much more potent. There are also other more format-specific reasons. The lack of Terra plays a major role in this, as the ability to put a powerful defensive Terra type on something can make your matchup much better, but now of course we don't have that option. There being no Assault Vest is also a big pain. Remember all those spread attackers I mentioned earlier? The Assault Vest, an item that boosts special defense by 1.5 times while not letting the holder use status moves, would be very useful against them. However, it's just not here and we're suffering the consequences. In conclusion, Hard Trick Room is a deadly archetype that's very difficult to beat. By combining a hard-to-remove setter alongside a slew of absurd attackers that are impossible to outspeed, you can win games in just a few turns when played correctly. This style, despite how frustrating it can be to face, is pretty fun, and for those who want to try it, I'll put a few strong teams in the description that have gotten actual results. Thank you so much for watching.